I just wanted to show you how I mount tires for foam. This is a set of B tires that I was talking about wanting to mount up. So basically the way that I like to do it, the rims, I actually leave them on the tree for the most part. And I got a crappy like $2 brush. Get tire, rims, brush, 3M. This is super weather strip and gasket adhesive. It's, I forget what the number is. I think it's 8002. Yeah, number 08002. Sometimes they call it Gorilla Snot. That's what it looks like. Anyway, what you want to do is to rough up the rims. Let's see what this is my piece of sandpaper I got. Anyway, you want to just sort of rough up the rim a little bit with some sandpaper, so there's something for the glue to bite onto. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just kind of rough. And I'm doing it, you know, I like to do this way because I've tried CAing the tires on, which is terrible and a pain. And half the time what happens is, you know, the CA doesn't reach here, right in the middle. So you get like, you'll go to True Tires or something, and you get this weird, like you true the tire and it sort of looks, you know, it gets like bent in, like almost like that. Because what happens is, if you don't get the glue in the middle, it does one of these. It crowns out. You know, the rubber kind of pops up as it from centrifugal force, and the blade comes across and cuts it, and then when it comes back, it's like that. It's weird looking. So that's a mistake you don't need to make. I mean, in a pinch, you can always CA glue if like you're out of tires for some reason, you're at a race, but that's not the best way at all. At least in my opinion. You know, and I'm wrong more often than right, probably. So, but it's just another way to do things. You know, there's the tape. Tape's cool, but I just have a hard time trusting it. I know some people have had success with the tape, but the other thing too is I would be worried. You know, a lot of times I like to true the tires on a tire truer, and the tire truer spins them up fast enough that I'd be afraid the tape might, you know, have a problem sticking. And beyond that, it's the same kind of deal as with the super glue. If you don't, you know, if the tape's not 100% covering the rim, then you may not be able to get you keep the thing from expanding and then having a weird cut on your tire. So anyway, sort of sanding those down a little bit. We got the tires. Here's your tape I was talking about that I don't really like that much, but it's handy when you're if you're doing a body or something, like the 3-piece bodies, like the F104 bodies are all multiple piece. Sometimes those come in handy to like stick cowls on, stick different parts of the tire on, you know, whatever. Anyway, so it's fairly simple what you do. You got your 4 tires there, your rims, and here we go. Ooh. I got my brush sitting there. What I like to do is just put a big glob on there, and this stuff dries fairly fast. You just want to put an even coating all the way around on there as much as you can. Make sure you got a decent amount on. That's why I like to leave them on the tree, because you can do this and also not paint your hands full of gook. But this is fairly powerful contact cement. I mean, I've mounted up 12 scale tires with weld wood that you can get like at Home Depot, but I don't know. I really don't think that's as effective as this, because this seems to have a little more adhesive power. Anyway, so what you do is you paint your rims up with this stuff. You know, put a decent coat on there. And you're going to do the tires are going to be the same type of thing. And by the way, the tube, I bought this tube at, you know, they're like $5 or something. You can go to AutoZone or Pep Boys or whatever, and they have this stuff. So it's just like I said, a weather strip adhesive. I already made like 2 sets of tires from this tube alone, as far as how long the glue has lasted or how far it goes. You know, when you're putting a decent amount on the tire. And you can see I'm going to get at least a 3rd set out of there. And a little bit on there. You want to make sure there's an even coat on there, you know, so there's plenty of glue to grab. Alright, then same kind of thing, you do the inside of the tire, because both surfaces get the contact cement. There we go. Also, this stuff is going to stink, so don't do it somewhere where you're going to have someone who's going to have a problem with the smell. You know, open a window or do it in the garage or whatever. You just kind of run a bead inside of there, and you have to be fairly, like I said, fairly quick on spreading it out, because it does actually dry fairly fast. So what you're trying to do, you want to put this stuff in there. And then you let it dry so it bonds to the surface of the tire or the rim, as the case may be. You know, you can see kind of looks like some funky stuff in there. Anyway, and the thing too is this is a glass plate, which is nice for letting these things set on, because they're not gonna, you know, you can get it off the glass and you can scrape the glass down if there's gunk left on it with a razor blade. Otherwise, like wax paper or something is a good idea to put it on, so you're not gluing tires to somebody's table that they may not appreciate. You know, or having a hard time getting them off of whatever you glued them to on accident. But that being said, you just want to get these all set up, because what happens is, once this is all finished and over with, you know, you can let these set for a while so that the glue is real dry. That's, you know, generally what you want to do, is have the glue nice and dry from both sides. And let me get a jar over here. You can use what you're going to wind up doing is, oops, once you've gotten everything dried out, you need to take you know, you'll bust everything free of the trees or whatever, the rims free of the trees. You'll take a rim, take a tire. You can do 2 different ways probably of getting the contact cement to liven up again, so you can put the stuff together. I've used lacquer thinner. This is also something can be solved, you know, a solvent of methyl ethyl ketone, MEK, which is bad stuff though, like melts your lungs. You know, not that the lacquer thinner is bad enough, but you take your donut and you dunk it in, you know, whatever solvent. I mean, like I said, lacquer thinner works fine. Dunk it in there, dunk the rim, same thing. It brings the solvent back to, you know, life, basically. And it gives you enough time. Basically, all you're doing, press the donut right on there. You know, to have a nice, like a glass surface is fine. Press it down so everything's even. You know, once you got that together, put it off to the side, let it sit for like a night, you know, or a whole day, whatever, 24 hours, whatever you want to do. But once you've done that and you let it set, you know, the whatchamacallit, contact cement will, you know, finally dry up, go together. The tires will be really, you know, well bonded. After a day, it does, you know, it is worthwhile to kind of pull back on the seams after like 24 hours just to make sure that everything's bonded well. Because sometimes, you know, the edges may not necessarily be the greatest. You know, which if it's not stuck, you can always just like address the edge with glue, a little bit of CA. And the thing too is, like, on the fronts, you're gonna wind up, or what I like to do anyway, you know, once you got the front made up, before I go to true the tire, I like to run a bead of CA all the way around, and then, you know, you can take like old like paper towel or whatever and kind of run the glue so there's a flat edge, so it'll be like a shiny flat, you know, ring of glue around the sidewall going all the way up till right, you know, like right here on where the tire kind of makes a transition to the sidewall. You want to run all the way up there. Basically, on the Tamiya tires, they have that kind of shiny edge where they punch the donut out. You want to go all the way across the shiny part with the glue. For carpet racing, you know, for asphalt, different story. I'm not necessarily advocating that for asphalt. For carpet racing, 95% of the time you're going to wind up wanting that bead of glue around the edge to, you know, it makes the car a little more drivable and stops traction rolls. And then that's nice too, because what you do is that glue's already on there, and if you make it a mess, it's no big deal, because you're going to wind up cutting the tire down, you know, to size, and then also doing the, you know, the sidewall a little bit, and you know, in that case it's a lot easier. It looks nicer when you're done, and you know, it is convenient, put it that way. And then one more thing. Well, I suppose at some point we'll true up some tires, maybe even this set. But the other thing too is how you wind up, you know, doing your sidewall, the edges of the tire. Some people, for asphalt, sometimes it's useful to kind of like cue ball the tire. You know, guys have talked about that. And by that, cue ball, more of a radius edge. You know, there's less of not a square shoulder. This is a fairly square tire out of the package. You know, like an off-road tire or something like that. The way this one sits, this is a real square edge. You know, the opposite of that is they actually kind of like have a real round kind of balloon look almost to the tire, and that can be useful for more traction. Let's say with like an outdoor track that doesn't have a ton of traction, that can be helpful there to kind of help the car gain traction. That's something that a lot of the modified 12-scale guys would do, is kind of cue ball the edges a little more to make the car pick up some traction using the sidewall of the tire. So that's the easy way to mount tires. You know, it's less of a pain in the butt than glue and you know, tape. Like I said, I like the strength better than tape, but it takes a long time. So I think once these are set all night, I'll put them together tomorrow and maybe we'll show some tire truing.